Good afternoon, NuPath. My name is Dan Harrison. This is NuPath Live. I'm your host, and your host is in a good mood today. Now, we missed NuPath Live last week, as some of you pointed out, and thank you for watching. Maybe you caught my video earlier this week, kind of as a teaser, and to remind you that we were going to just do our NuPath Live as regularly scheduled today on Thursday. But before we jump into what else, vaccines, I wanted to just share briefly an experience I had this morning because we as an organization, all of our managers and directors throughout all corners of the organization, we have a practice of meeting once a month, and it's usually the first Thursday of every month, all coming together where we do training, we discuss things, I'm able to give updates, we're able to hear from one another. And it's been something that we've been doing religiously, well, for just about as long as I've been here. And during the pandemic, we continued the practice, but through Zoom. And you've already heard me talk about how I am a physical person. I draw so much from the emotion and the energy and the spirit of my team. And I knew I would probably suffer during the pandemic because there's just some things you can't get from a screen. And today we were in person for the first time since March 5th of 2020. And it was a smaller group than what we would normally have, but it was wonderful. And it just meant so much to me to see the faces of people that I hadn't seen for well over a year and a half. And we are moving in the right direction. We're going to get through this crazy Delta thing. And I predict that by the end of the year, everybody at NuPath will be vaccinated, one way or another. I don't know. We'll figure out that prediction later on, but we're moving in the right direction, and we will get back to fully in person because that is where the energy, the creativity, the innovation, the connections really happen. And I look forward to being able to see some of our families at an event sometime soon. So highly encouraged by where things are going. Okay. People are waiting for the carrot that we've been talking about, but I have to first set the table a little bit. We're going to go back to January of this year. We had heard about the vaccine had been announced in late fall of 2020, and we finally got a date of the 29th of January for our major vaccine clinic. I just remember being so excited. And I was looking back through the archives, and on the 14th of January, we dedicated NuPath Live that Thursday to talking to Matt Johnson, who came on, and we answered all kinds of questions. We did a thing on the myths about it, what we knew, some people's concerns were about it. We tried to address them as much as we could, but definitely trying to get everybody prepared, wanting to get as many people vaccinated as possible that first time. And then a couple weeks later, the Thursday before the big vaccine clinic, I honestly felt like it was New Year's Eve or Christmas Eve or something. I really did. We went into a few more details, and we saw a picture of our own Sharon Pitts getting vaccinated, and it meant so much to me. I said this morning, I was talking to the team that that showed leadership from her. If our own vice president of healthcare was getting the vaccine, then this must be something safe and something important. And so we had a whole crew of people. We're going to be there from 9 to 5. We had something like, I don't remember, 280 doses that we were wanting to get in people's arms. And we did it. So the following week, we were able to give some updates. And I remember being so happy. And on the February 4th, before I do that, in looking back, and I wanted to share this with you guys, in looking back at that NuPath Live, I saw in the presentation that I had shared with you a couple of quotes. The first one was from the Old Testament of the Bible, Job 18:11, having hope will give you courage. And the second one, a little bit more playful, from Winnie the Pooh, you're braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think. And I thought to myself, why was I talking about being brave and having courage? And I realized it was because on January 29th, when we lined up on that cold day to get our vaccines. We were a little afraid. There was, I think, something like only 4 million doses had been, only, I mean, 4 million is still a lot, but for a population as large as the United States, 4 million is a very small number. And it still was very new and fresh, and we hadn't had all the discussion and all of the people having gotten the vaccine. And yet we got 278 people vaccinated on that day. 278 people that went out into the cold and the snow. It was an icy cold day in late January. And we became 60% vaccinated as of that time. Now, people are still talking about being fearful, even though compared to the 4 million that had been vaccinated when many of us got into it, there are now 171 million in the United States vaccinated and 5.4 billion across the world. And you just don't hear about any negative side effects happening. So 60% is where we were. We had our little party, happy vaccination, so happy, ready to start getting back to better. And we went through the summer, kind of just maybe picking up a few more people. I just thought it would happen naturally over time. And it could have been okay, except for the Delta variant. Yes, the Delta variant that entered our lives. And when I began to see how much strain it was causing on the healthcare system, we're going to see some communities reinstating the mask mandates, and realize that our return to back to better, getting back to full capacity, back to full billing, back to being no longer having to wear our masks. I said we're going to have to look at this much more carefully and much more closely, which we have done. So we began looking then on August 5th, much more regularly, and then going forward from August 5th to now, we've seen an increase, 68%, 72%, 73%, and now we're just under 75, and maybe are at 75 now. So I thought, how does this compare with the rest of the country? Because 75% is still not enough for NuPath. Right now, 53% of the United States is fully vaccinated. Massachusetts ranks third by state in the country. By population, 66% of our population is vaccinated, which is good if you're comparing it to Alabama or Mississippi, where they're in the very low 40s, I think. For NuPath, being at 74.7, I think is what it was, clearly above the state average and the United States average. But as I said, it's not enough. So what do we do? Where do we go from here? Well, we've been talking about the stick and we've been talking about the carrot, and I promised you 2 weeks ago one more big carrot. Now we're ready for it. Let's look at that carrot. If you're watching and if you're NuPath staff, here's what we're going to do for you. Every NuPath staff who has received the vaccine is going to have a $1,000 vaccine bonus in their paychecks, which they will have tomorrow, Friday. Many staff are discovering this on their own because using our online system, they're able to check to see that their hours are right, what their paycheck's going to be tomorrow. I was stopped on my way in to NuPath this afternoon coming from the other meeting, and one person asked me about it, in fact, and I was very happy to tell them. Now, this is for staff that have either, the staff that have already been vaccinated will get the bonus. Anyone who does become fully vaccinated between now and November 1st will be eligible for the $1,000 bonus. But here's what I want you to know. We need you to have your first dose of the Moderna, if that's what you're going to get. It has to be by October 3rd, so there's 28 days or the 20 days, so you can get your second one. And for the Pfizer, you'll have to have your first dose no later than October 10th. If you're interested in this, if you're going to get your vaccine anyway, go do it. Once you then have had your second dose on or before November 1st and proof to HR, you will receive the $1,000 bonus. No exceptions. So if I hear that people said, "Well, I had my vaccine, but we don't have a copy of that. We don't have proof on file." Um, um, I'm sorry, I won't have any sympathy for you. There's more than enough time to get this taken care of. Um, the other thing I'm going to say about that. So first, that's pretty great, right? Um, I'm so happy to be able to that we're able to do this. It's so important that our staff are fully vaccinated, and yes, it's a carrot to encourage people that are still vaccine hesitant to go ahead and do it. You know you should, you need to. If this is what it takes to kind of push you over the line and join the healthy and vaccinated community, then I'll be happy. But it's more than just a carrot for those. It is my deepest and most exuberant thanks to all of the staff, the 74% or so, beginning with the 60% and then climbing to 74 since January, that didn't wait. Even early days when we didn't have all the data that's available now, it's because of you, those staff that got in line, that took the chance, that did the right thing, that we've been able to climb out of the hole of the pandemic and got as far as we've gotten so far. And that's real courage, guys. And it means so much to me. To our families that may be watching, if you saw my video early this week, I briefly told the story about a mother who called me on Monday, and I have had a couple of nice conversations with her. I love mothers, fathers too. Fathers don't feel bad. I'll take calls from fathers, but I love talking to families that that are engaged. This mother that called had been watching our NuPath Live for updates, and she, with good reason, had concern, and she had kept her daughter out last week and this week, and never mind the fact that it's not fair to our people, our clients that we serve with their families that are vaccinated, that they have to worry about sending their children in to be in an environment where they may be exposed to others that are not. People say, well, we don't know if all the clients are vaccinated. Well, we do know that I think at last it was above 96% of our clients are vaccinated. That's a good, healthy number. And if we had 96% of our staff also vaccinated, we probably wouldn't be having these kinds of conversations. But the other thing is we cannot really truly get back to business and back to focusing on all of those things that we were once very proud of. Our No Walls programs, really having creative kind of design programs. As long as this pandemic is rattling and rumbling around, lurking over our shoulders, causing uncertainty, causing fear and anxiety in families, we can hardly focus on anything else. And we need to be focusing on the very real and important issues that are affecting families and the people we serve. And just in this one little example, this mother, this daughter, I'm not sure exactly of all the circumstances, but that if a family's not sending their child in, that could be a loss of, between $5,000 and $15,000 a year to our bottom line. And you multiply that out by the number of people that still may be afraid to come in, or they've been vaccinated, but they don't want to send their children in because they don't know if the staff working with them will be vaccinated as well. It's a financial risk to us additionally. And as I mentioned, probably the last time we talked, and maybe the time before that, that I'm always somebody that really tries to respect every point of view, or even if I don't understand it. I truly believe that I can't foist upon somebody else my personal beliefs. But in my role as CEO of this organization, I have the solemn responsibility of making decisions setting policy in a manner that's going to result in environments that are safe and healthy, that families can feel comfortable and secure in sending their children in to be cared for, employees that will not expose them to unnecessary risk. And I have to set aside my personal feelings and focus now on getting this organization fully vaccinated. So for all of you out there who will have an extra $1,000 this week in your paycheck, go do something wonderful, buy something that you wouldn't normally buy, and thank you on behalf of this organization, the board of directors, that I'm sure families that are watching out there today, thank you as well. And for those of you who are not, come on board. There's $1,000 waiting for you too. Okay, enough talk about money. We are going to bring on Karen Frank. Right now. And Karen is ready to join us. Let's bring her on. Is she there?
Hi, Dan. How are you?
Oh, there you are, Karen. I'm sorry. I'm looking. I've got a bit of a. There we go. Okay. My screen was just a little off from what I'm used to see. Karen, you're looking well. How are you doing?
Very good. You know, I wanted to just say what a great thank you and what an incentive to the employees, the $1,000 bonus. I mean, I think that I haven't heard of anything like that across all kinds of different industries. And I think that's a great thank you and incentive for staff to become vaccinated.
We've got some of the best staff around. I would say the best staff in the state. Karen, I'm sure you probably agree. And the staff that have, like I said, that from the very beginning, they did the right thing. They got vaccinated. We didn't have to chase after them and threaten and moan and cry and gnash our teeth and wail. Maybe it's a little dramatic, although I probably do that in private. And I heard, I think you told me, and then I was talking to Lisa LaRock before we went live, that just today, since that information started to become available to staff, we've already had 4 staff that have submitted their vaccination cards. Did you hear that?
Yeah,
You told me.
Before the announcement, because I think that payroll was able to put that it was a vax bonus. So the word is spreading quickly. So people that have forgotten to give us their card, they're making sure that they get them in as soon as possible.
So of that 90 or whatever, I forget what it was exactly, that still is unvaccinated. 90 non-vaxxed. I hope we get that down to, well, wouldn't it be great if we could get it down to 30 or something like that? We see that businesses and industry, the airlines are talking about, some of them putting charging more to employees that are unvaccinated to offset the increases in health insurance. And we've considered that. I mean, all it would take would be one NuPath employee who is not vaccinated, who ended up in intensive care for a few weeks on a ventilator. That would be a huge charge to our insurance plan. That could affect our rates for years to come. There's many ways that the non-vaccinated people are really causing, great organizational risk. You've got your hands full because you've got a lot of things going on right now. In addition to tracking down these unvaccinated people, do you want to spend a little time? Can you talk to us about this testing business? Because we thought that was a thing in the past. Families may not know that's something that now we've reinstated. We're having to test 100. I think it's 100% of everybody working directly with our people in the residential programs. Tell us what that means and how we're doing with it.
So over the summer, we only had to test unvaccinated people every other week. So the testing was down to a nice low amount. And then as the uptick happened late in the summer, DDS has decided to come forward and say, hey, you know what we want? We want congregate care, nursing homes, congregate care falling into our residential group homes, and anybody that would be working in those residential group homes. So we have a lot of daytime staff that start their day in the residences. People like to pick up extra shifts. So that's about 300 of NuPath staff that we now have to get tested every week. This is a compliance. We have to be in complete 100% compliance of this, where this is week 3 of doing that. The first 2 weeks, we kind of broke in a little bit slowly just to get everybody reacclimated. And this is vaccinated or not vaccinated. So the way we've set it up is anybody who falls in congregate care, as I just identified, whether you're vaccinated or not, you have to be tested every week. And then anybody who falls outside of that, that is unvaccinated, has to get tested every week. So what does that entail? That entails staff members, people from the healthcare, nursing, to be outside testing our staff 2 times a week. We do it Tuesdays from 10 to 2 and Thursdays 10 to 2. Tuesdays we do it at New Boston Street, 147 New Boston Street, and on Thursdays we do it in Westford. We have been a little, like I said, we started it up slowly, but this week we're going to start making sure that we are 100% compliance, because we have to be in compliance with what guidance that we're given. So a lot of staff, if you don't get tested and didn't get tested today, or get tested from another agency, or get tested on your own and share that with us, you're going to hear from us over the weekend, and it does impede your ability to be able to work in the programs. So there could be some, unpaid suspensions, and we don't want to have to do that.
Karen, is it safe to say, it may sound a little harsh, but were it not for the uptick in, the Delta variant that swept through the nation, including Massachusetts, although our positivity levels have gone down pretty quickly, that we would, this is continuing because of the number of people across the Commonwealth that are still not vaccinated, including the people in our own programs. And when you think about the amount of time, not only for you and your team and other administrative staff who help you, this is just so much to keep track of. And all of those staff that have to be tested, 300 people or so every week, yeah. Taking them away from the services that they would normally be provided, or if they have to come in early to get this done before they go to their shifts. I mean, it must amount to thousands of extra hours across the board just to be tested when this could be a thing of the past. I mean, I don't know what I'm asking you really, except it's just, I bet you'll be happy when we no longer have to make testing a regular part of your job.
Right, and we're fortunate right now, right, because the weather is nice and NuPath has put up the tent, so we're able to do that. But as we start to get into the colder weather, we're going to have to change that up. When we were doing the mandatory testing last season, the Martin Center hadn't reopened yet, so we were able to use indoor facilities. So there's lots of logistics. We're on calls every week, and some agencies are crying out saying it takes a full-time person, if not more than one full-time person, to run this. We have many people involved in the process, from volunteers helping us check people in, to nursing, to admin staff doing all the analytics and tracking behind the scenes. So it takes a lot of folks. So I think getting back to the vaccine and the bonus, you are using this opportunity to encourage people, incentivize people, thank people for doing this before it's mandated. Because if it's mandated, then it's out of our hands.
Right.
And then we're going to have to take drastic measures that we don't want to take.
So, Karen, we've got 2 more things I want to make sure we get in before we run out of time. We wanted to use this as an opportunity to explain to our staff who are watching, and hopefully it'll get around, about our health insurance. We've had a neighborhood health plan now for several years, and we are switching this year. We've decided to go to United Healthcare because we had an increase in the quote for neighborhood health, and our plan runs from October to September, or is that thereabouts? And so with a very small increase, we went to the United Healthcare with very similar kinds of options, but actually a better plan because it's got lower deductibles for our employees. You want to talk a little real quickly about open enrollment, and then I'll let you go right on in to talk about DSP week in the 6 minutes we have remaining.
All right, so I'll try to talk really fast. So you are absolutely right. We currently have Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare. We have been with Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare a couple of years. They've been very good to us, but this year they were going to give us over a 15% increase, which we couldn't have. So what happens is we go and bid out to other companies and say, what can you offer us? This is our employees and this is what our needs are. And several different people come in with quotes. We review them all as a team. And United Healthcare was just hands up the one we wanted to go with for a couple reasons. One, there's going to be more options now for staff. They're going to have a PPO option, which means no primary care. You can go wherever you want, or an HMO where you have a primary care and they direct your care to specialists. So you'll be able to choose, do I want something that costs a little less money or do I want something that costs a little bit more? The other thing that NuPath was able to do, because United Healthcare came in lower than, we were going to keep the $2,000, $4,000 deductible, but then NuPath took a look and said, why don't we do this one better? The cost will stay about the same, but we'll be able to lower the deductible. And that's what we decided to do, was lower the deductible, offer this plan. And then the one last great thing about this plan is it's a national plan. Kids in colleges, traveling throughout the US, you'll be able to get healthcare that you need right away, where Harvard Pilgrim was more of a New England-based company. Open enrollment, stay tuned. You'll hear about things on your email. It's going to be the week of the 13th. It will most likely be the 14th, 15th, and 16th. There'll be sessions at each of our day programs.